pleasure to see you, first of all. Will you promote reinstatement of the Glass-Steagall Act, which protected our savings from speculation? And would you break up the too-big-to-fail banks?
Well, let me tell you what I will do, because I care a lot about those issues that you've just asked about. I'm going to be proposing in the next week what I think will be the best way to go after Wall Street abuses and to rein in the too-big-to-fail banks and other institutions. Let me give you just a little background here. The big banks are not the only things we have to worry about. When you think about what happened to us in 2008, Lehman Brothers, AIG, the big insurance company, they were as big a problem as any of the big banks. They were all problems. So if you only reinstate Glass-Steagall, you don't go after all these other institutions in what is called the shadow banking system, hedge funds and other big financial entities that have too much power in our economy. So I've studied this real closely, and what I'm proposing is that we go after the risk. And if they are too big to manage, that's a risk, and they should not continue. If they are so big that they are causing disruptions in the marketplace, that's a risk. So I have what I consider to be a more comprehensive approach toward what we need to do to rein in the big institutions, including the big banks. We also have to do more to hold individuals accountable for their bad behavior and the actions that lead to these problems. And I took note of the fact that Ben Bernanke, who was running the Fed during all of this, just said, apparently in his memoir that's coming out, people should have gone to jail, and people should have gone to jail. And it wasn't up to the Fed, it was up to the Justice Department, and I've talked to some of the people who were involved in making the decisions. The laws were not as strong as they needed to be to hold individuals accountable. So I will do everything I can to make sure that individuals are held responsible, and if we need to change the laws, we will change the laws. And we have to enforce and implement Dodd-Frank. You know, Dodd-Frank has a lot of good stuff in it, but it's been really slow going because all of the big interests have been fighting against implementing. We're making progress on it. I've talked to Barney Frank, who supports me, and basically that's what we're going to do. We're going to enforce it. We're going to implement it. But I am going to go after risk. And sometimes risk is associated with bigness in a bank. Sometimes risk can be in an insurance company. Sometimes risk can be in the shadow banking system. So I'm going to go after what I think are the real problems, not the problems of the past, the problems of today, because what I'm interested in is stopping something like this from happening again. That is my goal.